And thank you for your invitation. And I'm very pleased to be here today in this particular building with so many history and surrounded by so positive energy, which will help us to try to be more efficient. Allow me to introduce you in quite few words how we were born. We were born because of the will of two leaders. On that time, they were young, as the standard of the United Nations defined it, who is our king, Mohammed VI today, and his sister, the Princess Al-Hasna. So 20 years ago, they had in mind this commitment of sustainable development. As a leader, as a head of state, he had in mind that the growth and economy and building a country like mine, South, had to converge with all the sustainable development goals. And he had the chance to have a young female, so we have the gender leader, to help him to build this. So we today have 20 years of trying. I'm using trying because it's not evident, to raise awareness towards the whole community. And actually what we wanted to do is to start by, of course, the youngest community, but we tried to make sure that what we will implement into school, they will find it when they will go home, when they will be in the beach, when they will be in the park, when they go to the cinema, when they go to public spaces, and not just to confine them with principles inside a specific space, and when they go out, they will not find what we have touched them. So that is why our community is wider, and we try to talk to everybody. So we, of course, have a privileged partnership with our Minister of Education National, because in terms of governance and politics, we are NGO, and we are very aware of our limit and what we should do and how we should do. And we have a state that has the obligation to bring the curricula and to bring the schools and to bring teachers. What we try to do also is to avoid to be top-down, but to build all together. And 20 years ago, it was not easy to come and start talking about sustainable development, about protection environment, about being responsible in terms of resources, because at that time, we had this north and south different speed growth, and you were just explaining to your future generation it might not be a good idea to have your own car. It might be a better idea to use a common transport. And at the same time, you have another images through, at that time, TV, but today, social network, which tell you that being modern, being successful is to have your car, to have your AC, to have your microwaves, and to have all the things that we are trying to anyway, try to limit it. So the speech is not easy to our community, because they can understand. So you are trying to explain to me that I don't worth to have my car. I don't worth. So we needed to overmore this kind of mentality and to structure it. The second thing in terms of challenge is beyond taking the pedagogical tools that we have the chance and opportunity to have from all over the world, you need to make sure that you are heard. And heard means that we need to talk to them with our own things. We as Morocco, as an African country, as a Muslim country, as a Mediterranean country, we have different culture and our own traditions. So what we do is we link them. So when you take something and then you say, listen, as a Muslim, your religion advises you to be very careful with use of water. That's talk to them. And it's common sense. And this is SDG. And what we try also to avoid is to separate the SDGs, as the minister said this morning, because everything is linked together. You cannot be sustainable if you don't have gender. You cannot be sustainable if you're not promoting peace. You cannot be sustainable if you're not responsible of water, and no poverty, and no hunger, and no, so at least this is common sense, and this is, my grandmother didn't go to school, but I can assure you that she taught me this 17th SDG. So we have launched for the Climate Summit a platform for the youth. And we decided at the foundation with the board that this platform has to be built by the youth, for the youth, and we are starting by the African youth, because we are in Africa, to make them network, to give them knowledge, to help them to have leadership, and most of it to have a voice and to have an efficient voice. Because although we had the youth climate in New York, I didn't understand why youth climate and then summit climate. For me, it's one, and actually the youth climate should be the leader because they are defending their future, truly. So today, I'll be the student with this youth. I definitely not go through lessons. What I might suggest is, as Greta managed to give a face to the climate change goal, maybe we should try to give the 16th other goals some faces and balance these faces by South, East, West, all gender as well. And I'm very delighted to start the partnership with the SDN and with my colleague from Turkey, and I think Ghana as well is, and looking forward to open it. Thank you very much.